Welcome to another episode of Cacao Conversations, where ancient wisdom and modern science dance together for the healing of the human race and the planet. At the heart of this space is our mission to share wisdom, elevate awareness, and raise the collective consciousness through the meaningful conversations we have. Today, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Erika Siegel, a naturopathic doctor, functional medicine practitioner, and the brilliant author of Behind the Nourish Kitchen, an authentic, beautiful two-volume masterpiece that's more than just a cookbook. It's a true encyclopedia of functional medicine, healing foods, and culinary creativity and vibrant health. She's also a full-time mother of two beautiful boys, ages 16 and 18, nurturing not only wellness in her community, but also at home. We first crossed paths at the this year Milken conference, where I saw her speaking and immediately felt a deep resonance with her message. When we connected, the synchronicities were undeniable. Dr. Erika embodies what it means to heal people holistically with presence, purpose, and profound care. And the magic didn't stop there. When she saw our cacao, she lit up and shared that Nourish Me Kitchen features an entire page dedicated to this amazing fruit cacao and the benefits. So that was our starting point, and from there we discovered a shared passion for conscious living and ancient healing traditions and nurturing people through the power of food and nature. So Dr. Erika, welcome to the show. It's such a joy to have you here.
Thank you, Gonzalo. It is so nice to be here. And yes, the resonance was immediate. We saw in each other a common thread of what we appreciate in this world and what we want to share.
I love that. Yeah, it was a magical synchronicity, and we knew that we have so many things to talk after that beautiful event that we were part of it. So let's begin with your beautiful book that I am in love. What inspired you to create that something so expansive and such a masterpiece with a lot of wisdom? You have two volumes. I mean, I have it right here, volume one, that is the wisdom, and the volume two, that is the everyday recipes. I mean, this is like, I do graphic design, I do video, and let me tell you this, I never seen such a professional and so well layouted to images, explanations, everything. I mean, the photography that you use, the level is amazing. So you want to share with us?
Happy to. And thank you for those words. It means a lot because this project was truly a labor of love over 15 years. And to see it out in the world and being appreciated, it brings me a lot of joy, and it makes me know that the work was worth it. Yeah, so I created these books because I found that in my practice as a functional medicine physician, I was trying to teach people the same things over and over again. I was trying to help people get back to the basics, the foundations, teach them how to feel confident in the kitchen, to provide themselves with good food, and know that there are so many options out there for treating their illnesses and perhaps not even getting ill. And it's really about that, taking good care of our bodies so we can thrive and not just wait to get sick. So I started to compile, and it started out as a cookbook with a really robust intro. And then that intro needed to be its own book, which is volume one, which is essentially a functional medicine encyclopedia where people can sift through and look up what they should do if they have a cold or ear infection, what different foods are good for, what to ask their doctor of. I just really wanted to impart that knowledge to people so I could hand it to them and say, here's everything I think you should know to take care of yourself.
I love it. I love it. And it's really I just started reading your book, and also, by the way, preparing some of your beautiful recipes. Your book reads like a love letter to the body, to food and nature. So when you're putting functional medicine there, it's how you view food as medicine, especially in today's words of chronic stress and overstimulation.
I think of food as the primary message that we give our body every day. And food is going to interact with our DNA. It's going to turn on and off certain pathways. And so every bite of food, every meal is an opportunity to support our vitality and our healing, and to communicate in a positive way, or perhaps a neutral way, or a negative way. So not to make people feel worried and guilty about their food choices, but really to recognize the the power of our food choices and to keep it simple. I loved when we got talking and you told me about the way that you were eating years ago. You said, yeah, I was basically eating avocado, fruits, veggies, nuts, and coconut. And we really can sustain ourselves on simple foods. It doesn't have to be complicated, but ideally it should be as close to the natural form as possible and minimally processed if possible and vibrant and close to the seasons that we're in. So we're getting food that's alive and giving us that vitality when we eat it. And it's just so powerful. And I want people to recognize that they have the power to affect their health with their daily food choices.
I love that. And I really believe that besides the quality of the food is the intention that everything has behind. And I can see that intention that you put in your book. You wrote a full page on cacao.
Yes.
Thank you, by the way. That's amazing. What drew you to this sacred plant, and how do you see fitting in the broader landscape of functional and emotional healing?
I love this. I love cacao so much. I think of cacao as a plant ally for us during this time. I think it's reflected in our resonance with it and our connection with it, how there's now a zillion different flavors of chocolate bars on the market because plants co-evolve with us. They're here along with us on our journey to help support our evolution. I believe that. And we are here to support their evolution. They want to continue to thrive. So we have this synchronicity with our plants. And cacao is one of these plants that I think so beautifully reflects this. When we take in cacao, or how it's usually processed in chocolate, it gives our body information. And the information that it gives us is the spirit of that plant, which is very uplifting. It's a plant that goes right to the heart. The Mayans talk about cacao as being heart medicine and the river of the heart. It's like the blood that will liven the heart. And I mean, we can talk about the phytochemicals and the biochemical breakdown of cacao, and that's really interesting too. There's the bioflavonoids and the phenols and the antioxidants, which we can look in a lab and see how it interacts with our cells and supports healing. Truly supports the healing of our cells. Our DNA damage is improved by having these constituents around. We can also look at the neurotransmitter interaction and how having the polyphenols and the theobromine increases our serotonin and increases our happiness and our joy and relaxes our nervous system. It also stimulates our nervous system. So that's something to respect about the cacao plant, is it is a stimulating plant. So too much can feel like too much. It can override our nervous system to make us feel agitated and having some anxiety. And so every plant, every food should be looked at with respect. Right? What is the amount that is going to have a beneficial effect on my body? What is the amount that is now beyond that and maybe going to overstimulate me? And cacao is just like any other plant that we should respect. And cacao in the pure form, which you offer, is a way to enjoy the benefits of this plant without necessarily having to eat it in a chocolate bar, which has been processed, has now maybe had some things added to it, things maybe we don't want to have in our diet, sugar, or, if we're avoiding dairy, things like that. So I particularly like when plants are made accessible to us in a way that we can get the benefit of it without necessarily the things that might go along with it that are less beneficial. So using a cacao powder or cacao nibs, and you can add it to a smoothie. You can make a pudding with it with avocado. I actually have a recipe in my book that uses exactly what you provide in your alma cacao. You just put it in the blender with avocado and honey, and there you have pudding and coconut oil. So I think that this plant is here for us now for our learning and for our support, and not just to give us energy, but to get into our heart space, because, we need that more than, just as much as anything for our evolution and our health right now.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. It's funny to mention avocado because that was one of my favorite foods in the world.
Yes.
And cacao together. I do that dessert at home. It's like mix cacao with avocado, MCT oil, and a little maybe like a coconut cream, but organic. blend it all together, put it in the fridge, and enjoy like something that is super healthy. And if I want just a little sweetness, add some dates to it. It makes like
Yeah.
incredible. So it's amazing. And the next day I feel like really good and really energized. And I appreciate that what you share about the cacao and in general about the consciousness about not overdoing things, right? Because today
Right.
we live in a world like everybody is looking what's healthy, and it's a lot
Hmm.
of tools now. We have a lot of access to a lot of things that we before we didn't have in the market. Where I'm so grateful because 10 years ago you wanted to buy, I don't know, um, an acai. You couldn't have an acai, or if you have it, we have only one brand. And now we have
Right.
so many things, we have so many access, but at the same time, doesn't mean that having more of these things, it will increase our health. It's just we know how to need to respect and honor first, knowing what we bring into our body has to be clean and organic, of course, but also
Yes.
not overdoing it, right? Do you
Yeah.
find in your practices people like overdoing food and overdoing yeah, too much of
Yeah, I mean, it's
this?
just an interesting idea when we might learn that something's good for us, and then we think more is better. And
Mm-hmm.
everything's about balance. Everything that we do is about balance, including the things that are, quote, not good for us. Maybe we can have some of those things in balance with our really healthy lifestyle. And I do find that people overdo a lot of things. Caffeine is a big one. Coffee, I find that people often are overdoing that to override their fatigue and really
Yes.
not listen to their adrenal glands and their nervous system. And they think, well, I'm just going to power through with more coffee. And
Yeah.
I find that what they're doing is they're ignoring their body's signals and needs for rest or some sort of other type of nourishment, and unfortunately they can bypass it with
Yeah.
caffeine. And yeah, there's many examples of that.
Erica, what if you can share like three main, let's say, three main inconveniences that drinking coffee causes to the adrenal gland?
Yeah, well, coffee is very stimulating to the nervous system, and while it does give us energy, it can give us a bit of a false energy because it is affecting the adrenal glands, and it will increase cortisol output.
Mm.
And cortisol over time does have negative effects in our body. We also know that coffee depletes some minerals from the body. It's a diuretic, so it makes us urinate more and lose some minerals along the way. And the effect of that, one of the effects of that is it can reduce our bone mineralization, our bone density, because
Mm.
we can actually lose
Wow.
some calcium and magnesium through that process. So I think that coffee is a good match for some people, and I just think that they need to be conscientious about their use. And then other people, it is not a good match, and they're not aware of the ways that it's not a good match because they haven't taken it out to see how they feel without it. I have a handful of patients that have heartburn. And when I've asked them, what do you think about just taking a break on your coffee for a week and let's see? And they're pretty surprised to discover that this drink that they've had every day for many years is actually the culprit for their
Ooh,
heartburn.
wow.
So it's not that they need medication, they need to pause or stop or reduce their coffee.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's a great information. And yeah, I mean, thing is like everything today relates to the emotional stress, the stress that we are living as humans with all the social media overwhelm and the food and everything that
Hmm.
it's really important to realize about getting to know more about this. I hear a lot of women also want to ask you
Hmm.
something like how does the stress manifest differently in woman's body, and what are
Yeah.
your your to go tools, nutrition errors practices, what supports like emotional balance and resilience?
Hmm. Well, women that are menstruating are going to have a very different response to everything throughout the course of their menstrual cycle. So I think of the menstrual cycle actually as four phases within one cycle. And during certain phases of that, really from mid cycle on, our nervous system is not quite as resilient,
Mm.
and we can get stressed easier. Our blood sugar is dysregulated, which is why the appetite will often go up and mood will change. So, overstimulating the nervous system during that time with coffee can have a worse effect than maybe the first half of the cycle. And so other things that can regulate our nervous system, especially during that second half of the cycle, are things that are going to tone the parasympathetic nervous system, help us get into a more relaxed state. So that's going to be yoga practices, breathing, sauna, maybe changing up your caffeine for something that's a little more friendly to the body, like having a cacao drink, a green tea, even yerba mate can be more nutritive than coffee. And I also recommend adaptogenic herbs. Ashwagandha, rhodiola, Kana, which I consider an adaptogenic, can really support the nervous system in reducing anxiety and creating more emotional resilience, which is ultimately what we want. We don't just want to be happy. We want to be resilient and we want to be in flow and feel that our emotions can move smoothly based on what is in front of us. And I mean, there's endless tools to implement, but those are some of my favorites.
Wow. I know that Canna is a great adaptogenics. I usually, I'm in love with it. We use it like every now and then with my partner and really help us to bring emotional balance and help us to regulate, reset the dopamine and serotonin neuropathways.
Mm-hmm.
Ashwagandha, that's amazing. I have it. I know that different herbs have different effects in woman's body than in men. But how also you relate this with like fasting? Is the same for men than for women? You recommend to do fasting too in your book? You talk about fasting?
Yeah, so fasting, there's different interpretations of fasting. There's any time-based eating can be considered fasting. So it could be intermittent fasting where you're not eating for 8 hours of the day or 16 hours of the day, but you're eating over an 8-hour window, something like that. And then there's different degrees beyond that where someone might do a water fast for a couple of days under medical supervision while making sure their minerals are still intact. Do I recommend fasting? Sometimes I do. For men, it's a little easier to implement fasting because their blood sugar stays more stable throughout their time.
And that's because of testosterone. We produce testosterone at a higher level than women, right?
Yeah, it's because of the higher levels of testosterone and the more stable levels of hormones in general. So women are producing testosterone all month long, fairly stably, but lower relative to men.
Wow.
And our production of progesterone and estrogen fluctuates very, very much throughout the course of the cycle. And with it, it brings serotonin and dopamine like a little roller coaster. So during certain phases of the cycle, it feels good to fast, and other phases of the cycle, it doesn't feel as good, and it's kind of a stressor. So usually if women are wanting to do intermittent fasting, I'll say prioritize week 1 and 2, and then week 3 and 4 really feel into it. Or maybe you change your fasting window. So instead of eating just over 8 hours, maybe you're eating over 10 hours. So really tuning in, you have to keep tuning in and asking, is this a match for me? I do think that intermittent fasting, as far as like not eating for 12 hours every day, is smart for most humans. Most people do not need to eat after dinner unless they're a kid who just like needs to keep their blood sugar up all the time, or they're in a healing state, or they need to keep their blood sugar at a higher level. But for most people, I would say it's a good idea to fast intermittently, which means when you're finished with dinner, you're done. No snacking.
Love it.
And then, don't eat again until later in the morning. And usually we can get 12 hours easily like that if we don't eat from 7 to 7, something like that. And I think that's appropriate for most people at most phases of their life.
That's amazing. Doctor, I know that you mentioned something about we don't need to eat too much. We need to like simpler and the right quantities. It's any based on that amount of nutritional value that we should eat every day, knowing that our body can make their own vitamins, so our body can produce anything that we are needing in the moment. So what would be the base that will let us know, okay, even if you can survive eating one avocado a day and cacao, that is my passion, could you survive and could you be like not deficient in any other vitamins or minerals in your body?
By eating a really, really simplified diet, you're saying?
Yes.
Well, this is a conversation I have with my kids a lot. We talk about what are the 5 foods you'd bring on if you're on an island.
Yes.
So like to get everything you need. There are some essential nutrients that we cannot make. So
yeah, okay.
The essential amino acids, we can't make them. We can't make vitamin C. We need vitamin C rich food. We can't make B1, and our gut will make short chain fatty acids, but it needs fiber to do so. So I really like thinking about the broad spectrum of food and getting a variety of foods. We certainly can thrive on a vegan diet. We certainly can thrive on a paleo diet, which looks really different. And so that's where it's interesting, like why certain diets seem to be a fit for certain people, but not for others. There's genetics, there's stage of life, there's climate, location. You know, I don't think a raw diet is great for someone living in Portland, where I live, in the middle of the winter. It's cold here, it's wet. Our body wants warming foods. So we really are always in relationship with where we are in life, what stage, and our environment. And so there's not going to be a one size fits all, but I would say a varied diet with varied colors. You know, we want every color of the rainbow, which is, you're going to get that from fruits and veggies. If you eat a variety of fruits and veggies, you're going to get all the colors. And then we need essential amino acids, which are our proteins. And they can come in the form of beans and rice together, quinoa, a whole egg has all 20 essential amino acids. And then, of course, there's animal protein, which should be sourced supremely because you are whatever they ate and whatever they're exposed to. So how do we know if we're getting enough? Well, we don't. We keep tuning in. We keep asking our body, do I have enough energy? Does my skin feel soft or does it feel dry? If it feels really dry, maybe we need more minerals, electrolytes, hydration, and oils. How do I respond to certain foods? What do I feel drawn to? I find that my body kind of tells me what I need and want if I really tune in. I ask myself, would this sound good right now to eat? And my body is sort of like, oh yeah, please eat that. And it will vary for me depending on my menstrual cycle or what I'm going through. So I was a pescatarian for 10 years and thriving. And then I got pregnant. And for the first time in a decade, I started to think about meat. I dreamt about meat. I was looking at meat on the menu. Whereas before it didn't even register to me as something I would eat. But my body was saying, please feed me this. I am growing another human and I need density of protein. I need more iron. And I listened. You know, so I really think it's about a relationship with our body and not always outsourcing the information to the experts telling us, you know, eat this or don't eat that. Like, how do you feel when you eat something? What's your vibration if you really tune in? It tells us, I think, more than anything.
I love that. And how difficult it is also, right, to get to that path where you become really in tune with your body and you can really tap into what's the right food and what's the not the right food. I know that you are deeply grounded in both naturopathic and functional medicine, but can you walk us through these frameworks, how these frameworks work together when addressing something like anxiety or digestive imbalance?
Yeah. So naturopathic medicine is at its core functional medicine. We just didn't use the term until it became popular 10 years ago.
Wow.
Naturopathic and functional medicine, the framework, in your example was anxiety. The framework is to look at all areas of someone's life and understand what are the contributing factors to what we see in front of us. So let's talk about anxiety. If you go to a conventional doctor, they might say, all right, you have anxiety. Let's make sure your thyroid isn't overactive because that can cause anxiety. And outside of that, there aren't a lot of tests or there's not a lot of investigation other than, you know, have you figured out what makes you anxious? And, you know, here, try this medication. And that medication is usually going to be a pharmaceutical, an anxiolytic. And hopefully that doctor will also say, try some meditation or yoga and try to get your stress in order. So it's based on managing a symptom. Whereas functional medicine and naturopathic medicine are looking at this whole person. Okay, let's understand what you're eating. Let's understand your blood sugar, because I can tell you if your blood sugar drops in the middle of the day, you may feel anxious. Let's look at your breathing patterns. If you're not fully breathing in and fully exhaling your carbon dioxide, your anxiety is going to rise because an increase in carbon dioxide in your body will stimulate anxiety. We will also look at relationships and sleep. If you're not sleeping, trust me, your anxiety is going to go up. If you're only experiencing anxiety 1 week of the month and you realize it's right before your menstrual cycle, okay, let's manage that. What's going on there? It's probably a decrease in serotonin and dopamine. Functional medicine is about trying to maintain an awareness of the whole being and restore function. So we're trying to restore function of every layer, every pillar of health, because anxiety is the symptom. It's not the problem. And if we restore each layer, if we restore good eating habits and exercise and sleep, all of these things, does anxiety go down? Does it go away? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But now we can start thinking about what are the other things we can do to support this person? Can we give them adaptogens to support their neurotransmitters and their stress response? Can we give them breathing exercises, which we know will restore nervous system balance? And it's really it's a whole person approach. And that's why I love this medicine, is because no two people are going to get the same prescription for their condition, because it's about them as an individual. I'm not treating anxiety, I'm treating a human in front of me with anxiety, and it's going to look different for every person.
I love that. As a difference as a Western medicine, that is just one product that fits all.
Yes.
This is a totally different approach. And I think functional medicine now in this last years, with all the technology that we have access to today, like Oura rings to measure our sleep, glucose monitors and everything, you can really measure and give your patients real insights about what they're doing is taking them to the right path, right?
Right.
There's a lot of things going on available today that even makes this even more valid.
Yeah, and it is interesting, all the data we can collect. And I like that. And I also, there's a part of me that feels a little nervous about it, because it's outsourcing wisdom once again.
Yes.
People tell me, I slept great last night. My Oura ring told me I got 7 hours of deep rest. Okay, great. How do you feel? And then they're like, oh, I didn't really think about how I felt. I just know I slept well because what my ring told me.
Wow.
And that concerns me. It concerns me when we keep relying once again on outside sources to tell us how we're doing. I have patients that come in and say, Doc, I'm coming to you so you can tell me how I'm doing. And I say, well, I don't know. How are you doing? You tell me how you're doing. Sure, I can run labs on you, and that's important, of course. But if we're listening and tuning in and taking good care of ourselves, then our body tells us. And it's not necessarily like a download. It's not psychic. It's tuning in to ourselves. And the more you take care of yourself, the more attuned you become. When you go a little bit off, your body's like, that doesn't quite feel right. Why am I so thirsty? Oh, that's right. I went to a Thai restaurant with a bunch of sugar and, salt. And you can then, it's like you keep, finding your balance again, because your body will indicate when you're out of balance. But yes, all the data collection, it's really cool. And I think we can learn a lot. And I just want to encourage people to still keep tuning into themselves and what they know about themselves.
So important. I love that. As someone helping others so generously, how do you personally stay nourished physically, emotionally, and spiritually?
That's a great question. I set a lot of boundaries. I take good care of myself, and I do it with joy. I try to do things that I enjoy. I'm not going to do something that I don't like to do. And sure, some of it, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing a little bit. But I try to find joy in it. So there's a lot of going towards things that make me happy. I enjoy movement. I don't enjoy all forms of movement, but I'm going to do the ones that I enjoy, and I try to move every day. Something every day. I try to drink a lot of water and eat real food and stay in close relationships with people and with nature. And again, I come back to the foundations of health. Like, I prioritize 8 hours of sleep, and I prioritize time to myself and time with others. And I just have recognized I've become more and more refined and discerning with my time, so I know what my body needs. And I try not to spend too much time doing things that I find aren't enriching in some way. So it doesn't have to be necessarily like my work or it doesn't have to necessarily be productive, but you're not going to find me spending 2 hours a night watching TV. Like, I just know that doesn't serve me in a positive way. I don't feel good at the end of that. Sometimes I will, occasionally, but it's just not a daily habit for me, because I want to make good food for the next day. I want to clean up my house so it feels, my house is a mess half of the time, but I'm going to be doing things that enrich my life and aren't a distraction away from my life. And when I focus on that, then, I feel pretty good on all levels. And if something is, this is an important point. If something goes awry, like I have an injury or I have an acute need, I treat it kind of aggressively. I am all in. I do not have time to be sick, to be injured. If I feel like I'm coming down with a cold or a flu, I am aggressive about it. I take a ton of vitamins. I juice a bunch of turmeric and ginger. I get in the sauna. I drink a lot of water. This body's got to heal quickly, and not in a forceful way, but like I'm tuning in that my body wants to focus on that. And I apply that to other areas of my life. If I have something going on in my relationship, it's acute. We're dealing with it. We're talking about it. We are going to move through this. I'm not going to let it linger inside and start to eat away, because all these areas of our health are equally as important. And so I try to address things as they come up. I don't let things simmer if I don't have to.
I love that. Well, your water flourishes,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. As a mother of 2 teenage boys,
Yes.
how do you bring your philosophy of holistic wellness into your home life? Because I hear like a lot of mothers probably are hearing about this and they want to bring this conscious diet to their home. How do you deal with this?
We make it a lifestyle. We teach our kids about healthy living from day one. They see it because we model it. We teach them how to cook. We let them have full reign of the kitchen, even if they're going to make a mess. I have them help us from the earliest age. We got one of those. This is great for toddlers. They have those. It's called the Learning Tower. It's basically a step stool with rails around it. And they were right up there at the kitchen counter. Every single meal I made, they were helping. Sometimes they were just transferring something from one bowl to another or cutting with the butter knife, but they were part of it. And they learned, and it just became part of our life. We just made it be part of the fabric of our life. And luckily, it's a way that they like to live as well. I'm going to read to you something.
Yes, please.
So it was my birthday yesterday.
Oh my gosh, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
51 yesterday. Okay, so my 18-year-old son, I'm going to read you one line from the birthday card. This is this beautiful birthday card that he wrote me. Okay, you have instilled in my life values and priorities that not only I try to follow, but firmly believe in as well.
Wait.
Honestly, it's not because
that was your boy.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, the card goes on and on.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes.
What a level of awareness.
That, what a better thing for me to hear from my 18-year-old, that I've instilled values that he has followed and he believes in firmly as well. And it's not because I told him he needs to believe this way. I think it's because he sees how it feels, and they've always just been invited in. We didn't do, this is the kid food, this is the grown-up food. We didn't order off the kids menu. We didn't put our kids to the side. Of course, we have adult time, but we also just invited them into our life. And really, it was leading by example. And I mean, it worked for us. I think it's hard, and it's a long game. Not every meal is a winner. Not every day is a winner, but you just keep trying. And I wrote those books while I was raising my kids. So I was learning from that experience and putting it into paper so people could use that information, because I didn't know what I was going to do. I just kept learning on the fly. How are we going to manage this? Just with a lot of intention and coming back to our core values.
That's so beautiful. You just share that.
I want to say one other thing.
Please.
That I think is really important regarding raising kids and how to get them to have a holistic view. Get them off of screens. Do not let your kids hang out with screens. I'm telling you, it is robbing their childhood. It is robbing their creativity, their ability to be bored and make up games and go play out in the yard. We were strict about that. No screen time. I mean, they got phones when they were 14 because it was COVID. And we would watch family movies on a Friday night and make it special. Or they had an iPad for plane rides or a Sunday morning if we wanted to sleep in. But it was not part of their life. No video games, no screens. Not until they were solid teenagers. And at that point, they had very little interest in it because they had learned to grow without that. And that I know it to be a crucial part of the health of my kids.
I love that. And after hear what your son wrote to you at 18 years
Right.
old, I can see that how well educated he is. Well, he's an old soul, I can tell.
Yeah,
He's an old soul. He's a
it's
lot of
true.
wisdom, and
Yes.
he's been here many, many lifetimes. Yeah, how beautiful to see that, and how beautiful having kids that are growing with you in alignment and supporting your journey. It's fantastic. For listeners that are just starting with this journey,
Yes.
what are the three small but powerful things that they can do today to feel more connected and well in their bodies?
Three things that people can do to feel connected in their body. Well, I would say move your body every day in ways that feel authentic for you. So sometimes that means a lot of energy and you want to like take a hike or take a jog. Some days it's just gentle movement on a yoga mat, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's really what works for you. I would say eat real food, keep it simple, well sourced, and have intention about your food. So when you sit, have gratitude, recognize where it came from, recognize the journey and how lucky we are to have this abundance. If you're listening to this podcast, it means you have a lot of things going right, right? You have the technology to tune in. That means you also probably have the fortune of being able to go to the store and get a banana any day, which came from a very far distance. So recognizing that and having gratitude. And the third thing I would say is cultivating a relationship with nature. It's what we're made of. It is right outside the door. It can just be a tree in your backyard or local park. Stand outside barefoot, get that bioresonant energy from the earth. Recognize that in nature, everything is right. It's a constant cycle of destruction and building and back again. And when we see that, we can feel the perspective and we can have a different perspective about our life, and we can feel soothing energy from that. There's real healing that comes from just being in nature and recognizing as our ally, and that we're just here for a moment. This is here forever. Nature, I'm pointing out
I
things.
think I can hear the river. If you want to turn on the computer and show us what is your view, because I think
I
the
know
audience needs to see
this is
this
what I'm pointing
to
at,
grasp.
Clear River Gorge. You're looking over at Oregon from Washington
Wow.
State. Yeah,
Wow.
so that connection with nature, time and time again, when I've been in the hardest times of my life, that's when I've recognized that medicine the most. Going out in nature, laying on a blanket, taking a swim, taking a walk, it restores my body on a level that doesn't make sense to me intellectually, but I've stopped trying to make sense of it. I just know that that's what helps bring my body back into resonance. So,
I
yeah,
love
don't
that.
forget Mother Nature. She's right outside.
I love those three things. Was a lot of studies now showing about how important it is for us to ground, to get rid of
Yeah,
the ions that we have in our body, to
right.
reset that balance, and especially wearing shoes that we didn't came to this world years ago, thousands of years ago, with plastic or rubber shoes that
Yeah,
allowed us to not connect with the earth and
let's
ground.
connect.
Yeah. So thank you for that. It's very
Hmm.
conscious. I think we can be talking for many. I have so many questions, but I want to wrap this up, and then
Hmm.
I want to give an audience a gift. What is the one message that you want to leave to our audience that is with about healing and conscious living in today's world?
I'll say that you're worth the effort. I know it's hard sometimes to take good care of yourself, but you're worth the effort, and it will benefit those that you love and benefit you. And I want to encourage you to take those steps, because we all need you to be healthy, or as healthy and vibrant as you can be. And there's many resources for that. So take that first step. Start tomorrow morning with a big glass of water and a walk. It doesn't have to be complicated, but try to stick with it.
I love it. That's so conscious. Thank you so much, Erika. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, and your beautiful heart. Your work is such a gift. It's been
Pleasure.
an honor, truly, to share this space with you. So, how people can find you if you want to get to know more about the Nourish Me Kitchen?
Yeah, so nourishme.com has everything.
NourishMe.com. I
And the
love it.
book, The Nourish Me Kitchen, is on Amazon. So it's there, available on my website as well. And there's a digital version as well, because this book set is very robust.
I
Not
know.
everyone wants to carry around a 10-pound book set. So you can have it digitally. You can have it on your phone, your iPad, or you could have it forever on your bookshelf or in your kitchen.
I
Yeah,
will,
so just
I
nourishing.com.
will applaud you because in this time of everything comes digitalized and we're spending so much time in screen, and the world is going to that way. It seems like the time that you spent to create such a masterpiece of nourishment, creativity, and transformation like this book is, it tells a lot about you. And I was
Yeah,
talking about with my partners, who's putting so much energy to create such a
so
beautiful
much,
book in these times. Like
so
nobody
much
else is
energy.
like everybody is so digitalized. So I have deeper appreciation for your masterpiece, your work you did,
Thank
and I have
you.
it honorary display in my kitchen. So when everybody comes here,
Great.
the first thing they see in the kitchen is the book. So
That's
um,
really nice. Thank you.
I love it
Great. And then
for your
also
work.
people can find me on Instagram. It's just at
Yes.
Dr. Siegel. Yeah.
All right,
So
doctor.
nice
Until
to
the
be
next
here,
time.
Gonzalo. Thank you.
Yes.
And I love what you're doing with Alma, Cacao, and the Kana. It's wonderful. You're bringing great gifts to the world to really help people heal. And I'm excited to talk to you more. We should talk about Kana someday because there's so much medicine there.
I love the our path in enlightenment, and I can be more grateful for that. And thank you so much. We will. Until the next time.
Bye.